I'm glad you're on. We're gonna get started, and I see Sherna just joined us, so we'll kick. Here comes Buddy also, so we can get started.
We both find the Zoom link thing always confusing. I don't know. It's like we'll use the old one, the new one.
Right, and so for the upcoming two, I'll be sure to resend the link, since the automatic registration doesn't quite make the process as smooth as it should be.
I think everybody should do that.
Thank you so much. So we'll just get started, and thank you everybody for joining. This is the fourth in our series of uncomfortable conversations on race. And today's topic, she voted for Trump. Is she racist or is he racist? How race and privilege affect political decisions. My name is Jermaine Spence. For anyone who's new, I'm an attorney and diversity and inclusion practitioner. And these conversations are brought to you by Fresh Justice in collaboration with various grassroots organizations and nonprofits in New Jersey. My co-host, Ms. Sherna Alexander Benjamin, is also here. You know her because she's been with us from the beginning. Sherna, so good to see you again.
Yes, it's great to be here, Jermaine.
Welcome.
And good afternoon, good evening, good night to everyone.
So our goal in having these conversations, as you know, is to create a safe space for us to have them. And this week, we're talking politics and race and privilege. A lot of perspectives and views are out there, and we want it to be as spirited as it can be. Bring your whole selves to the room. All we ask is that we be courteous to each other. Introducing now our special guest, Miss Jennifer Senko, known to us as Jen Senko. Jen is an award-winning documentary filmmaker based in New York City. Her documentaries focus on socio-political themes with the intent of inspiring discussion and fomenting change. Her 2016 documentary, made just at the start of the Trump era, a film narrated by none other than Matthew Modine. It's called The Brainwashing of My Dad, and it tracks the rise of right-wing media. The film is told through the lens of her father, whose politics and personality were radically transformed after he discovered talk radio. This widely acclaimed project has won numerous awards, has been screened in festivals and theaters across the United States, in Canada, England, Ireland, and Sweden. And one of the reasons we really wanted Jen's perspective is that in making this film, she had to confront issues of race, politics, privilege, and media very closely. And so we are glad to have her perspective. Just to tell you a little bit more about Jen, her previous documentary, The Vanishing City, was co-directed with Fiore de Rasa and exposes gentrification's dire consequences in New York City and similar major cities around the world. And it's narrated by Catherine Erb of Law and Order. Her first documentary, Roadmap Warrior Women, is a road trip documentary about extraordinarily independent women in the West, and has also won her numerous awards. She's currently writing a book for Source Books based on the latest documentary, The Brainwashing of My Dad and Our Country, and it's due to be published soon, but has been delayed because of the pandemic. In addition to filmmaking, Jen is frequently invited to speak at screenings of her film, and she defines herself as a social justice activist documentarian with a focus on media. In Jen's own words, I am passionate about the role of the media and how it plays the most significant part in creating what has essentially been a number of slow boiling cups, quote unquote. And Jen is a graduate of the Pratt Institute in New York City, where she graduated on the Dean's List in Communications Design and Paintings. Jen, so good to have you, and so anxious to get your perspective in this conversation this evening.
Well, now I can see more of you. Before it was just the top of your head.
I'll give you even more. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here, and I think it's a really great opportunity to have a conversation about race and the media and everything that you want to talk about. I'm just honored to be here.
Thank you so much, Jen. Now, just a bit of housekeeping. As a reminder, this conversation is being recorded. It's playing live on Facebook, and it will be recorded for playback on YouTube. We will also make the video available to everybody who has registered, if they have, especially if they've not been able to join us for this evening. We will keep you all on mute, but we want you to be involved in the conversation from the get-go. So you can unmute yourself. And if you have a contribution to make with a question or comment, you can raise your hand using the blue hand icon, which you can find in the participants tab at the bottom of your screen. So we're gonna jump right into it. And I wanna kick this off by showing you a clip of Jen's latest documentary, the Brainwashing of My Dad, which explores, and this particular clip focuses on the issue of race and how the media and race impacted her dad and his politics. So we'll play just a few minutes of that documentary, and then we get Jen involved.
My parents were very open-minded. They were like hippies before hippies happened. They always stuck up for people if they were made fun of for being different. My father, who passed away in 2016, was a great example for us in treating people equally. One indelible memory I have was a day trip to a New York museum. It was important to him that we had culture. We lived in New Jersey, so New York was a short bus ride. We were coming out of Port Authority and ran into a black homeless man right outside the terminal. He asked my dad for some spare change. I was scared because I'd never been a homeless man before. My dad stopped, though, called him sir, and gave him some spare change. That taught me to respect everyone. After high school, I went to Pratt Institute. My father, who worked as an electronics engineer for the government, retired from that and got a part-time job with a long commute. He started listening to talk radio. Talk radio then was Bob Grant, the openly racist and sexist, bombastic radio host. He was called the father of conservative talk radio. He would refer to black people as savages and once called Martin Luther King a slimeball. Very slowly, my dad began to change. He became more irritable and more judgmental of others. About a year later, my dad fully retired, and then he found and fell in love with Rush Limbaugh. Limbaugh had learned a lot of tricks of the trade from Bob Grant. He appealed to the older white guy who perhaps felt shoved aside as times were changing. Soon my dad was having his 3-hour Limbaugh lunches. After he ate, he would sit with a beer and listen to Limbaugh bloviate. Limbaugh must have said what organizations to join, because soon my dad started getting lots of right-wing mail and then emails. This caused a lot of problems in the family. My dad became very opinionated and angry. Just say one thing that tripped him and he'd blow steam out of his nose. He started forwarding us emails which were full of lies and exaggerations about President Clinton, or mostly how horrible Democrats were. I was living in New York, and when he sent emails saying that liberals hated Christmas, I was flabbergasted. I lived in the land of liberals, and everyone I knew loved Christmas. I had a lot of gay friends after college. When my dad first met them, he praised them, saying how cultured they were and how it was nice I was friends with them. When I heard Limbaugh bashing gay people, I asked my father if he agreed with that now, and he got angry and said, "I don't want it in my face." Wow, what happened to Dad? It was like some alien took over his body. We all begged him to stop forwarding us these emails.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you were able to see and hear that very clearly. Jen, that was a very interesting piece, and I want to start out.
By the way, can I just say, that wasn't actually a clip from the movie. Now This contacted me because they heard about, so it was their piece which included little pieces from the movie.
The movie, right? And the interview was very interesting, and I appreciated hearing that commentary, and it gives us a good jumping off point into this discussion. But before we talk about race, I want